NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. Bet $100 at WynnBET and get a $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. We're also brought to you by the SGPN merch store. Use your promo code NFCBEAST for 15% off, active until the Eagles or Giants lose their next game. And make sure to enter our World Series prop contest. Winner gets $200 in cash and a $200 SGPN gift card. Enter today exclusively on the SGPN app. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is our 400th episode here on this Thursday, October 27th. Short schedule on Thursdays here, as usual, only 4 games, but we're going to go through it as we always do. And joining me on this 400th episode, the man that does it both on and off the court for SGPN, host of the Tennis Gambling Podcast, WNBA Gambling Podcast, NFL Gambling Podcast, and of course on the NBA Gambling Podcast as well. It's my main man, Scott Reichel. Scott, what's going on, buddy?
Nothing much. Yesterday could have been better. I know that I personally lost the lock and dog. However, I did hit Brunson at 6-1 for a double-double, which was nice. Yeah. Overall, it was an okay day. Can't really complain too much. Just a bad read with the total in that Raptors game. I know we like Toronto to win the game. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect there to be that much pace involved throughout the majority of it. But other than that, though, I feel like the card itself was, hit or miss. Trae Young, unfortunately, couldn't get a double-double for me because he scored too many points. There were a lot of points in that game. Unfortunately, Trae Young didn't do enough passing. But it is what it is, and we'll look for a better day here on Thursday.
Yeah, it's a new day. I know yesterday there was opportunities that the ball could have gone our way or your way, but that's just how it is sometimes. So hopefully we can bounce back today here with the 4 games on the schedule. Terrell split his picks. He hit his lock. He had Raptors plus the 2 and took Pacers on the money line plus 245. And then I split my picks as well. I hit my lock with the Bulls first quarter team total over 31. And I looked good in hindsight, I guess. I took the Lakers money line, but that team is I don't even know where to start, and I don't even want to talk about it. They're just brutal, and I don't think there's more we can expand upon that. But anything else that kind of
half that counts?
Yeah, they were competitive up until halftime, but then after that, it just kind of got away from them, especially in that third quarter. I think they only scored 13 points in that
I think
third
it was
quarter.
17. I think they got outscored like 32-17 in that third
quarter.
But either way, it wasn't good. I'll tell you that much. I feel like we could talk about the Lakers every day if we really wanted to. But I don't think anyone wants to. No. So,
just
good one good one for the Nuggets. They're not a good basketball team, the Lakers I'm talking about. And there's a real chance they could start 0-10. So we're going to see what happens moving forward. And, let's just say if you don't exactly like LeBron, you're having the time of your life right now because the Lakers aren't very good.
Not much more for me to add to that. But anything else maybe around the league that kind of stuck out to you? I know you, Terrell, you, myself, and Terrell were exchanging some text messages last night about what was going on in the association. But that Pacers defense, man, especially in that first quarter, it's a cash ATM right now at the moment, Scott.
Yeah, well, I wasn't aware of the trend before until you brought it up. I know the funny part was that Chicago had, 38 points in the first quarter yesterday? 35 points?
38, I think, yeah. 38.
Didn't DeRozan have 0?
Yeah, I think he had 5 assists in the first quarter.
I'm saying the Bulls had 38 points in a quarter, and DeRozan didn't even score.
Yeah, he was more facilitator mode. It was Zach LaVine and really Vucevic in that first quarter because I was obviously watching the game. But we talked about how the Indiana Pacers are a bad 3-point shooting defense, and Chicago don't hit very many. Well, last night Chicago goes 16 of 30 from 3-point line. I think both teams hit. I want to say they were like 7 of 7 to start the quarter when they were shooting those 3-point shots. But 16 of 30 for the Bulls last night. Also took Zach LaVine's 3-point shots last night as well. That was at plus money. He went 6 of 8. So I think we just got to continue fading this Indiana Pacers defense right now, Scott.
Yeah, I agree, but I really had two other takeaways to talk about. The first one was something I live bet, and I was on the right side of it when we actually previewed every game.
Hmm.
It's the Bucks and how the Nets just can't stop Giannis ever, and they
Yeah.
got even worse defensively because in previous years they had a backup center. They used to they had like Drummond, for example. I'm not saying
Hmm.
Drummond's a good defensive player, but at least he is a big body. At least he
Yeah.
can kind of try to physically handle Giannis. You're looking at what the Nets have this year. Sharp was okay in the first half in
Hmm.
limited action against Giannis, and then it seemed like Giannis decided after halftime, I got to take the game over, and he scored, I don't even know, like 35 points in the second half. It was really just a bloodbath
Yeah.
for the Nets defensively. Simmons couldn't handle him. Claxton couldn't handle him. That was expected. And Sharp had moments, but nothing special. So, yeah, Giannis just decided to take over the game, and the Bucks won. I live bet the Bucks when they were plus money because as a Nets fan, I knew where this was going, and
Hmm.
they ended up losing there. The other takeaway was the injury news involving the Trailblazers. Unfortunately, the man who put back-to-back 40 pieces on the table got hurt got hurt yesterday against Miami, as Lillard now is out with a calf strain.
Yeah.
Just sad, but I'm kind of wondering where Portland's going to go from here. Are we blindly taking every Simons over moving forward? Because with Lillard being out, Simon should be attempting somewhere around like 18 shots a game, or maybe even Jeremy Grant overs. But you got to use the trickle down theory, right? I mean, Simons and Grant are going to have to shoot a lot with Lillard being out of the lineup.
Yeah, they will. He said, or Lillard said that he's not overly concerned about it. I don't think they scheduled an MRI for it. He's going to be out Friday at minimum. We'll see what happens next week with Damian Lillard um, and the calf injury. So yeah, you're right. I think it's really going to be Jeremy Grant and Anthony Simons that are going to really have to carry this offense right now for the Portland Trail Blazers. Anything else that kind of stuck out to you last night?
I'm trying to think of anything else. No, I mean, we talked about what we expected to see from Toronto. I know Barnes
Hmm.
ended up playing. I'm not going to break it down because we thought Toronto would win. So there's really nothing that really jumps off the table there.
Yeah,
No, I think the only thing that still confuses me involves your team. I'm not sure why they're playing so slow,
I
especially
don't
in the
get it
first
either.
quarter. Especially in the first quarter.
Yeah,
Uh, the first quarters for Houston have gone under by like double digits in a decent amount of these games. They're not even close. And it was a nice win for Utah. I know each of us lean to Utah. I just don't get why Houston insists on playing slow when you don't have an actual starting center right now. And we know that Porter and Green want to run. So
yeah.
that's why I'm a little bit confused what the actual game plan is involving the Rockets.
And I don't understand why they're going 12 deep right now. Like, okay, maybe not 12 deep, but they're going 10 deep right now with Tari. Okay, Tari Eason, I understand, but
Yeah.
Dyshon Nix, I don't know why he's coming off the bench. Garrison Matthews, okay, I understand he's a good 3-point shooter, but
Play Boban 2 minutes. Like, okay, if you
yeah,
want to have the gimmicky, whatever. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. So I don't know. I agree. And I'm watching this team. It's like, why aren't we not playing with pace? Because we have a lot of young guys on this team. Our entire roster is young guys, so we should be getting out and running, and then getting up and down the court. We should be one of the highest paced teams in the league, but it's
I
just
mean, your
not
center's
happening right now.
Jabari Smith. I mean,
Yeah,
you should be running just based on personnel.
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that's a change that they do make, because again, that half court offense right now, especially in the first quarters of games, is just not working right now for the Rockets. So I expect them to make some type of change, or increase the pace for the upcoming season, or at least for the games. And again, Jalen Green last night just didn't have a great shooting night. 6 of 20, 2 of 9 from 3-point land, 17 points. He was some minus 19, which was a team high in the box score. So yeah, I mean, not expecting to win a lot of games. Obviously, that win total before the season said that, and this should be one of the lottery teams. They will be, but yeah, something needs to change, especially offensively. And I think that pace is probably the answer right now for this Houston Rockets team. All right. Before we get into the games, it is our 400th episode, so the bosses are in a giving mood, and what's going to happen is we're giving away a $100 SGPN gift card, and all you got to do is it's pretty simple. Subscribe to the YouTube page, leave a comment on any of the videos. It doesn't have to be NBA Gambling Podcast, but we prefer it to be the NBA Gambling Podcast, and make sure you have your notifications on for the YouTube channel for the NBA Gambling Podcast. And once we do get subscribers, we'll pick a random winner, and we'll announce that on Monday's pod. And so you have through the weekend to subscribe to the NBA Gambling Podcast YouTube account and our YouTube page. And once you do, turn on your notifications, and we will announce the winner of the SGPN $100 gift card in honor of our 400th episode. All right, Scott, 4 games on the schedule tonight. Why don't we just dive right into the schedule, my man? It's the first game on the schedule. Let's see here. It's going to be the Dallas Mavericks headed to Brooklyn, who are on a back-to-back situation. We talked about how they played the Milwaukee Bucks last night. They travel back home to welcome in the Dallas Mavericks. This is going to be a 7:30 Eastern start. It's going to be on NBA TV. Looking at the lines for this game, I am currently seeing this line opened up -1.5 in Brooklyn's favor. That line has now flipped over to the Dallas Mavericks side. That's currently sitting at -2.5 over on WinBet. Total opened up at 228. That number has been bet down to 225 over on WinBet. Money line for this game, I'm currently seeing the Dallas Mavericks are a -145 road favorite here, +125 on the money line for the Brooklyn Nets. Take a look at the injury report for both of these squads. Not yet one submitted for the Brooklyn Nets because they did play last night. We did see Ben Simmons kind of grabbing his back, but I think after the game he did say he does intend to play tonight here on Thursday against the Mavericks.
He also kept playing after.
Yeah, he also
did.
Yeah, he didn't come out. Yeah. And then for the Dallas Mavericks injury report, we know Davis Bertans has been out with a right knee injury. Tim Hardaway Jr. is officially questionable for tonight with right foot soreness. And Frank Ntilikina is also out for this team with a right ankle injury as well. But Scott, your team welcomes in the Dallas Mavericks as a 3-point home underdog here are the Nets. What are you thinking about this game on a back-to-back situation?
So I still see a couple of 2.5s, but I definitely understand the line movement. Dallas screwed me against the Pelicans last game, but if you want to talk about the actual spot, losing to the Pelicans while they were missing Ingram, Zion, and Herb Jones is definitely a nice bounce back spot for Dallas, who should be motivated, especially defensively, because they got cooked in that game against New Orleans. And you're looking at what the Nets do well. We know Durant's one of the best overall scorers and shooters of all time. We know Kyrie's a very good offensive player. What else do they have? Because you're looking at the lineup right now, and they brought in Ben Simmons. I know because Harden wasn't happy, but you're looking at his skill set or what his alleged skill set was. He was supposed to be a good facilitator who can rebound well for a guard and who could also guard well defensively on the perimeter. But you're looking at what Simmons has done this season, and the Nets are basically dead last in defense, or they're in bottom 3 in defense.
Yeah.
And they're also dead last in rebounding rate. So I'm going to ask again, what exactly has Ben Simmons done this season? And it's not fully his fault because I know he hadn't played basketball in over a year, roughly 2 years, and there's some rust involved. I get that. But you're looking at the overall roster. I don't think the supporting cast is that good. And I think that you have a decent amount of role players who could contribute. But if Ben Simmons is not going to be the guy that you paid him to be, and we already know that the team defensively, with the lack of big men depth and just the overall lack of quality, I'd say options with regard to ball handling, with Seth Curry being out especially, what are the Nets actually good at right now besides expecting KD and Kyrie to bail them out of shot clocks offensively?
Yeah, I mean, look, defensively, you know that they're the second worst team.
They're bad.
They're only in front of the Indiana Pacers, who we've already talked about out of volumes on this pod.
And the Pacers are trying to not play defense.
Yeah, they're trying not to play defense, man. It's the funny part is that maybe Brooklyn is trying to play, but it just hasn't been very successful for them. Yeah, right now, 29 Brooklyn Nets. Actually, I'm sorry, I need to correct myself. Brooklyn are number 29 in defensive rating, and the Memphis Grizzlies are dead last at 121.6. But yeah, I know last night Bucks didn't score very many points, but it was really Giannis was getting whatever he wants. And I think tonight might be a case where Luka is going to get whatever he wants tonight against this defense for the Brooklyn Nets. And if you kind of take a look at what Luka has done over his first 3 games, he's had 30 plus points or 32 plus points in every single one of those games so far. I think it's a matchup problem tonight for the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know. I mean, they're going to try Ben Simmons on him, but it hasn't panned out so far for what Ben Simmons is trying to do on the defensive end. I think it's a good spot here for the Dallas Mavericks here. I know you can shop around, make sure you get the best number. I do, like Scott said, there are 2.5s out there, but currently on WinBet it is 3, and I'm still going to take that -3 with the Dallas Mavericks here tonight. Scott, anything different for you?
No, I feel like when you're looking at what Dallas can do well, we know Jason Kidd wants to shoot the three ball. And so far this year, they have not shot it as much as last year. Last year was crazy. They just shot it every possession.
Yeah.
But I do think when you're looking at the Nets' overall 3-point defense, they're also dead last in opponent 3-point percentage. So they're awful at rebounding. They're awful at general defense. They're awful at 3-point defense. And we know Dallas wants to shoot a bunch of threes, probably more than they should. They also still have McGee. They still have Wood, who right now is the favorite to win Sixth Man of the Year. And you also have a little bit of Kleber. I still don't really like Kleber, but the point is the spacing is there to really exploit this Nets defense. And it was a competitive game against Milwaukee for about 3 quarters. So you couldn't even bench the starters like Miami could against Portland yesterday to save them for a back-to-back. I think the Nets are running out of gas in the second half, and I think that Dallas probably puts it on them. I'm not backing the Nets right now because they need to outscore teams every game because they really can't guard anyone. So I'll take Dallas.
Yeah, Brooklyn number 26 in opponent 3-point percentage allowed, close to around 40%, right down there with Boston, Sacramento, Chicago,
They were
and
last.
Indiana.
I probably didn't account for what happened yesterday, but
Yeah,
in
and
general, they're not a good 3-point defensive team.
yeah, and then Chicago, and we talked about Chicago and Indiana, how they shot lights out. So those two teams are the worst right now as far as 3-point shooting percentage allowed. Yeah. What about the total here, Scott? We're sitting at 225. We've seen some money, I guess, coming on the under here.
I think it's a really tricky spot for the total because I know the Nets defense isn't great. They were actually okay against Milwaukee for the first half. And then Giannis decided, all right, get out of my way. Like I'm too good at the game. Just get out of
Yeah.
my way. But I think it's tricky here because Dallas plays at such a slow pace with Luka that I don't know if I really like the over. I know that defensively they were awful against New Orleans. So I guess the argument is to lean that way. It's the first back-to-back for the Nets this season. There is travel involved because they were playing on the road against Milwaukee. So they had to take a flight from the Midwest back to Brooklyn. I think I'm leaning under. I don't feel great about it, but I really expect Dallas to just slow the pace down because that's what Luka wants to do. Luka isn't a guy who you want to build an offense around that's going to be top 10 in pace. You want to play in the half court, let Luka make decisions. You switch into ISO. It's the heliocentric offense that we saw with Harden, for example, and we have seen so far this year from Philly. They play a lot slower because of personnel, even though they probably shouldn't. Dallas is the same way. I think you'll see definitely a slower pace than what people are expecting. I'm going to lean to the under.
Okay. Yeah, especially I think initially I was leaning at the over, but kind of diving more inside the numbers that we've seen and kind of we just discussed here. Pace, Brooklyn number 18, and like you just mentioned, Dallas is number 28, one of the slowest paced teams right there with the Philadelphia 76ers and the Toronto Raptors. And again, being on that back-to-back situation also makes me nervous for the Brooklyn Nets as well, because like you mentioned, travel is involved going from Milwaukee back to Brooklyn. So yeah, the line movement does scare me. So I would lean towards the under as well in this game. So Dallas -3 and also the under in this game for both of us. Any player props that you may be looking at here, Scott?
Well, going through the player props, I feel like I have to be automatically interested in Christian Wood. Just because he's been incredible this season, and the Nets are also not great at rebounding. Wood's point total's at 18.5. If you want to look for rebounds, Wood is at 7.5. I really don't mind making an argument for a double-double here. I know it's a bit tricky because his role's a bit in flux because Kidd just won't give him significantly more minutes than Kleber, which is extremely annoying. But if you're looking at double-double, it's plus 175. I think it's tempting. The Nets are really one of the worst rebounding teams in the league, and Wood should have a decent amount of minutes as he just needs a bunch of minutes because he's been arguably the second best player on the team up to this point.
Sure.
I don't mind if for a plus money play, I'd probably look at fading the Nets big men in terms of rebounds. I think Christian Wood double-double makes a lot of sense, especially at plus money.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't even been playing a lot of minutes, like you mentioned.
That's the problem. They got to give him more minutes. He's been too good.
Yeah. And you kind of take a look what he's averaging 24.3 points per game so far, and only 26.3 minutes played on average so far. So
you got to give him 30 plus minutes at some point. I mean, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah, 25, 25, and 23 so far for him. For Christian Wood, I think like no, I do like Luca's over. I mean, it's a bit square,
Mm,
but look, the guy's just playing out of his mind right now, especially to start the season. You know, we talked about how he's come into the season just playing in shape. And the numbers are showing it right now, right? He's averaging 34.7 points per game. He scored 32 or more points in all 3 games. He's averaging 25.3 shot attempts per game. And he's also playing 34. He's played 30 or more minutes in all 3 of the games so far. So I expect Luka to get whatever he wants. I think he's a nightmare, a matchup nightmare for this Brooklyn Nets team. And I don't think I mentioned that the Brooklyn Nets give up a lot of points inside the paint as well. And I think Luka should be able to get at will to the basket and finish around the basket as he always does. So I like Luka there as well.
yeah, I agree. I think if you want to look for some other props as well, I feel like choosing some, well, some I can't, I don't want to say role players, but some players who definitely get a decent amount of minutes who could definitely provide a spark here. I don't mind Dimwitty. You're looking at
Okay.
his points at 15 and a half. I see his rebounds are at 2.5 at minus 130. I know Dimwitty's not a great rebounder by any means, but the Nets are so bad in the paint, both on the glass and just with overall rim protection. We know Dimwitty's not afraid of getting downhill, getting to the foul line, making a lot of big plays. And if the Nets decide to double Luka at some point, I do think that Dimwitty should benefit from that. I don't mind Dimwitty having a sneakily good game tonight against his former team.
Do you see his 3-point shots listed yet?
Let me see. I see 2.5. The overs plus 115.
He's made at least 3 in all 3 games so far.
Okay.
So
But the point is, I could see Dimwitty having a nice game if the Nets especially panic down the stretch and
sure.
start double teaming and trapping Luka every time they can.
Yeah. All right. Anything else for this game?
No, not really. As a Nets fan, I just expect Dallas to win.
All right. So are you going to go check out Luka tonight or no?
Unfortunately, no. I already have plans, but I do want to see Luka at some point.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious if you could name one player who you would want to see, not on the Rockets, just any player in the league. Who are you picking? You going Giannis?
I would probably put Luka at the top of the list.
Put Jokic at the top of the list, the classic MVP candidates.
Yeah, Jokic, Giannis, Curry, probably those 4 guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd probably throw in Zion in there just out of curiosity, but
yeah. Hopefully he's not injured.
hopefully not.
Yeah.
But they won without him anyway, so we'll see.
All right. Before we move on to the next game of the night, let me tell you guys where you can bet on all of these sides, totals, and player props. That's over on WinBet. And if you're thinking of joining WinBet, you get $100. If you bet $100, you get a $100 free bet from WinBet. And if you're looking to join the WinBet Biggest Winners Club, well, whoever hits the biggest parlay on WinBet odds-wise gets a $1,000 free bet. WinBet truly is #DGens only. Plus, use WinBet to build your own bet to build some amazing same-game parlays. There's so much to choose from, and all you have to do is head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/winbet so they know that we sent you. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WINNBET to claim your free bet today. Offers subject to change. Terms and conditions at winbet.com. Must be 21 years or older and present in the state where playthrough WinBet is available. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. The Sports Gambling Podcast is also giving away a chance to win your choice of either an autographed Lawrence Taylor or autographed Brian Dawkins jersey. Contest is completely free to enter. All you got to do is follow 3 steps. Number 1, subscribe to youtube.com/sportsgamblingpodcast. 2, comment on a video. Each video is a new chance to win. And 3, turn your notifications on so you don't miss SGP contacting you when they pull out the winner. Again, subscribe to youtube.com/sportsgamblingpodcast. Comment on any video. Each video is a new chance to win, and make sure you have those notifications on. So when you are the winner, SGP can contact you to pick your jersey of Lawrence Taylor or Brian Dawkins. And of course, the World Series is starting on Friday, and we are running a prop contest for the World Series. The winner gets $200 in cash plus a $200 SGPN gift card. Entered today exclusively on the SGPN app. All right, Scott, next game for tonight, it's going to be the Tankathon game. The Los Angeles Clippers are in OKC to take on the Thunder. It's going to be 8 o'clock Eastern start. looking at the lines for this game, it is an opening line of, let's see here, -7 for the Clippers. That number has been bet down to -6 over on win bet. I'm currently seeing the total opened up at 215.5. That has actually been bet up to 217.5 currently. Taking a look at the money lines for this game, -250 for the road favorites here for the LA Clippers and +200 home underdogs for the OKC Thunder. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, Paul George is questionable with illness, non-COVID related. Kawhi Leonard already ruled out injury management with his right knee. Marcus Morris Sr. is out with personal reasons. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, Josh Giddey is out with a right ankle sprain, and Jalen Williams is dealing with a fractured right orbital bone. So the top two guys for the Clippers, or at least one is out for sure here, Scott, and Paul George is questionable, and Josh Giddey is out, but SGA is a GOAT in this game. What are you thinking about this game? This is not going to be one that I'm watching here tonight for sure here, Scott.
I'm just going to be on OKC money line. I feel like it's a spot where we just saw Oklahoma City smack this team. Kawhi and Paul George did not play in that one. OKC also had one of the worst three-point shooting games imaginable, and they still won by double digits. So they really dominated the game. I know Mann was amazing. Shea was amazing, and they ended up really just taking it to the Clippers. It amazes me how the Thunder are basically tanking, and yet the Clippers are missing more players than the Thunder, or they're supposed to. It's really just bizarre to me. But I mentioned it when I watched the Clippers play against the Lakers, and I ended up winning with the Clippers at the end because of some, foul from 94 feet with a couple seconds to go.
Yeah.
I wasn't impressed with the Clippers. I just thought they were incredibly soft. And we see the load management rear its ugly head again with this team. And Kawhi hasn't played since the Lakers game. Paul George dropped 40 against the Kings and then didn't play again after that. I understand the importance of the playoffs, and I understand the importance of trying to keep your guys healthy. We're about 4 or 5 games into the season. This is embarrassing. I'm going to take the Thunder money line. They're at home. They just beat the team. It seems like the Thunder care more about these games, and they're actually trying to lose, or they're supposed to be trying to lose. It seems like the Clippers genuinely don't care. I'm going with the Thunder money line. I don't know why the Clippers are favored by 6. You can argue they just played. The Clippers will show more, I'd say, edge to them after they got smacked. I don't really care. I mean, you're looking at no Kawhi, potentially no Paul George. I'm not laying 6 with the Clippers here. It's Oklahoma City or pass. I'll take the money line.
Does this tarnish Kawhi Leonard's legacy?
Which part? He's been doing this for like 3 years.
Sitting for 3 years now.
I think that Kawhi Leonard has one of the most interesting NBA overall just resumes of all time, because you're looking at a guy who's won Finals MVP twice, who was traded mid-season and carried a team through some injuries as well, because against Milwaukee he was kind of banged up, and just carried his team to an overall title, had one of the biggest buzzer beaters of all time in playoff history against the Sixers in that series. And then after that, just vanished. It's just really fascinating. And you're looking at the fact that he was also the head of the team that blew the 3-1 lead to Denver in the bubble. There were a lot of playoff collapses involved, a lot of fourth quarter no-shows with him and Paul George. I think Kawhi is going to be on the top 75 list when he ends up retiring.
Sure.
I'm not sure if he should be there, but he's going to be on there. But I feel like people kept trying to push him versus LeBron in some narrative as LeBron handing over the keys or passing the torch, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it just never worked out. But it seems to me like Kawhi either did a lot of damage to himself when he played through that injury with Toronto and won a title, or physically just couldn't handle it after that. Talent-wise, he's a great, great player, but the injuries are a big factor. And if I'm going to roast Anthony Davis for being nicknamed street clothes because he's injured all the time, I don't even know what to call Kawhi Leonard, because at least Anthony Davis has played some games every now and then. What are you supposed to, what's worse than street clothes? What are you supposed to call Kawhi?
I don't know.
I don't know. We got to come up with a nickname involved. But the point is, he just hasn't played that much. His overall legacy, I can't say it's tarnished, because people know that this is who Kawhi is. His prime was amazing, but his prime was what, like 2-3 years?
Maybe if that. I
That's what I'm
mean, look,
saying.
since like Toronto, since he got traded to Toronto, he had played 60 games, won the title. Great.
The last year with San Antonio, I think you can throw in there too, because he really was a great player, and they
Yeah,
won the title. Like,
sure.
he was really, really good.
Yeah, that was a game where he had played a career high 74 games, which was all the way back in 2016, 2017.
You just said that though, career high 74 games.
Yeah, career high. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah. So he played 60 with Toronto, and then since he joined the Clippers, he's played 57, 52 in 2020, 2021, which was the bubble year, correct? And then he missed the entire year last year, and this season he's played 2 games and hasn't started any of those games. We've seen him coming off the bench and already been looks like he's already not playing tonight as well. And we don't know what the future holds for him either.
And the Clippers made the Western Conference Finals without him.
Yeah, right. So. Yeah. That was what, back in 2021, right?
Yeah, that was when Chris Paul went absolutely berserk in Game 6, and they ended up losing in 6.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It just kind of pisses me off. And when I'm seeing that, it's what the hell were you doing this whole off season or the past year or so when you didn't play a single game? You had the entire off season. You're still coming off of the bench.
I'd always play 15 minutes. Do something.
Yeah, like come out and like start the game. If you're going spurts of 5 minutes each in each quarter, play 20 minutes a night. I mean, maybe there's something deeper that we don't know that's going on with Kawhi's head or his knee or body or whatever. But man, come on, man. Like it's 2 games in and you're already you're managing injury management, whatever the fuck it's called. But that shit pisses me off. Like if I was a Clippers fan, I don't know what the hell I would do.
I mean, especially if you're paying for tickets. I mean, you hear that answer all the time, but why would anyone ever go to a Clippers game if you don't know who's going to play game in, game out? Yeah. But looking at what the Clippers are doing is going to make you happy. I'll compare it to the Yankees because it seems like they're using the regular season solely as time to waste to get ready for the playoffs. And the problem is we saw that with the Yankees in the second half of the past baseball season where they were just gearing up for October. Yeah. And they were punting games and you were wondering what they were doing game in, game out. And then the playoffs came around, they came out flat and they lost.
Yeah.
It seems like the Clippers are headed down the same path because you're not building up any chemistry during the season because you don't know who's going to play every day.
Yeah. And
I don't know if you agree with that comparison, but that's the best one I could think of.
I mean, yeah, I see the similarities there, but the part is that the Yankees did this in what, September, October.
They were already like winning the division by 14 games at the time.
Yeah. But this is a third or fourth game of the season. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't know. Maybe something comes out, but I want to have that brief discussion. But yeah, back to the game. I agree with you. Thunder or nothing for me here. I mean, we, again, like you mentioned, night in on night out on that injury report, we don't know who's going to be playing for the Clippers. So I'll take OKC. I think Shea just comes out in balls again, and I'll probably look at his points prop as well because right now he's pretty much the offense for the OKC Thunder.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else you want to throw out for this game before we get to the 2 night games?
Potentially Zubac double-double, but that's basically it. I just think that you're looking at Oklahoma City's front court, regardless of who plays for the Clippers. I don't like Oklahoma City's front court. I feel like nobody does. Yeah. Zubac's going to stand in the middle. We know he's not going to step outside and shoot threes. He knows his role. He's a good rebounder. I think Zubac double-double is probably worth a look.
Yeah, last game against the OKC Thunder, he finished up with 10 points and 14 rebounds. So I think that might be
How many minutes did he play in that game?
35.
I'm just saying that's a pretty decent workload there. Just because they're resting Kawhi doesn't mean they're resting Zubac and the rest of the people. So yeah, I don't mind Zubac double-double. I'm trying to pull up the odds though. My Wi-Fi is not cooperating.
Let me see. I can probably get it.
It just loaded. Hang on a second. I don't even see it listed. They just have nothing. Okay, great. So whatever price it is, I'll take Zubac double-double. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're probably just waiting to see who's playing for them and who's.
It's going to be somewhere in either the minus 100s or the plus 100 range. So I'll take Zubac at a cheap price.
Yeah. I think the key number there for Zubac is that if he plays at least 30 minutes, he'll get that double-double. Because if you take a look at his game log so far, 2 games he's played 35 minutes in each of those games, double-doubles easily. He had 17 rebounds against the Lakers in their first game and then 14 rebounds in their last game against the Thunder. The 2 games that he's played.
He's been the Clippers' best player because Paul George and Kawhi have gone AWOL. He's been their best player.
Yeah, 24 and 21 against the Kings and the Suns. We only finished with 8 rebounds each. So, again, like you mentioned, since we don't know who the hell's playing for the Clippers, he's going to have somebody's going to have to play, and it's going to have to be Ivan Zubac for them. So, yeah, I'll definitely look out for that as well. All right, Scott, let's get over to the 2 West Coast games tonight. Pretty intriguing ones. First one's going to be the Miami Heat on a second game of a back-to-back as they played the Portland Trail Blazers last night, took care of business after Damian Lillard left that game. They go to the Bay Area to take on the Golden State Warriors. This game is going to be a 10 o'clock Eastern start on NBA TV. Miami Heat in, again, like I mentioned, the Bay Area to take on the defending champions, the Golden State Warriors. Looking at the lines for this game here, Scott. This game opened up as a -7.5 point, home favorite for the Golden State Warriors. The number has been bet down to -6.5 over on WinBet. Total opened up at
I saw 225.5 last night.
Yeah, opened up at 225.5, and that number has been bet up to 227 currently on WinBet. Money lines -270 for the Golden State Warriors and +215 on the money line for the Miami Heat. Looking at the injury report for this game, nothing yet submitted for the Miami Heat because they are on that back-to-back. For the Golden State Warriors, Dante DiVincenzo, left hamstring strain is out, and then we know Andre Iguodala is dealing with the hip issue. He's also out, so definitely look out for that Miami Heat injury report since they are on a back-to-back. Maybe they do decide to sit some guys. But, Scott, the Golden State Warriors coming off of the loss against the Phoenix Suns, yeah.
That's one way to put it. It was a loss. It was an ass-kicking, however you want to phrase it,
Yeah, the game where we saw Klay Thompson get ejected. But, hey, they're back home. They're going to welcome in the Miami Heat. What are you thinking about this game as the Golden State Warriors are a 6.5 point home favorite here?
So, for me, fatigue was going to be an issue when I initially looked at this game. But then Miami blew out Portland, and every starter played less than 30 minutes. I don't think fatigue's going to be an issue because they really just coasted to a free win once Lillard got hurt yesterday. So I do think that Miami should look fine. I'm not going to overreact. For me, I'm going to stick with what's worked so far. Give me Miami team total over. I'm just going to fade Golden State's defense. It's a train wreck. There's really no other way around it. And you're looking at Golden State and how bad this defense actually is. I had it written down. I forgot the exact number, but they've given up 30-plus points in, I want to say it's at least like 70% of the last couple quarters there, like for like 2.5 games. Like it's been a decent sample size. They can't stop anybody. But you're looking at Golden State. They've played 4 games. They played Phoenix 134, played the Kings 125, played Denver 128. The only team they held below this number was the Lakers, who have the worst offense in the league, and the Lakers actually have one of the worst offensive ratings since like the 9-win Bobcats. Like, they're one of the worst offenses of all time, according to offensive efficiency. It's been documented. They're terrible, and they still gave up 109. But you're giving up 120-plus in each of your last 3 games. Miami has depth. They have good shooting. We know Golden State wants to play with pace. Give me Miami team total over. I'm really not going to overthink this. 109.5? Golden State can't guard anyone. I'll take Miami team total over.
Yeah, I'll go back to the last game against the Phoenix Suns, and then
it was a disaster.
Yeah, they gave up 30 through the first 3 quarters at minimum. Actually, sorry, let me go. 33 at minimum through the first 3 quarters. They gave up 29 in the fourth quarter, which I think that at that point the game was out of hand.
Phoenix
Previous game, against Sacramento, like you mentioned, they gave up 125. They gave up 36 in the first, 35 in the second, 23 in the third, and then 31 in the fourth quarter. And I'll go one more game for the
Denver torched them. They scored 40 in the first quarter.
Yeah, and I think that was probably the easiest bet I've cashed all season was that first half over in that Denver Nuggets and the Golden State Warriors game.
Every quarter, I mean, Golden State's just allowing 30-plus points per quarter. And Miami, I know it's a back-to-back, but I do like the fact they were able to rest the starters for the entire fourth. 109.5. Really? I'll take the over.
Yeah, I was trying to pull up. I know at least in the first half they've given up. I think they're one of the worst defenses right down there with the Indiana Pacers as far as giving up points. But, I mean, we just kind of went through the box score there. I mean, the point is what you just said. They can't stop anyone. Yeah,
even the Lakers were decent offensively against them, and the Lakers haven't sniffed 100 since.
Yeah. So I like that play. I think I like the over definitely in this game. I believe they are 5-0 to the over so far this season. The
Warriors. Yeah, I mean, you had a bad beat on that Lakers game that went over, but still.
Yeah. Anything on the side?
I originally leaned to Golden State, but then Miami dominated, and now I'm kind of on the fence on the side. I'm actually just going to play the total. I feel like this game could go either way. Golden State could wake up at home because they got embarrassed on national TV. Miami could just perform well because anytime you face the defending champions, you're going to try to put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay away from the side, but I am going to take the over Miami team total over. I'll dare Golden State's defense to do anything.
Yeah. First half points allowed. Golden State dead last, number 30, 66.3 points allowed. Over the last 3 games, I know they've only played 4 or 5 games so far. They've allowed 71 points in that first
That's
half.
impressive.
Yeah.
That's impressive. So.
Yeah. So they're right down there with Sacramento, Indiana, and Golden State. Yeah, I like the over in this game. Like I mentioned, it's been bet up from 225 to about 227, but for all the reasons that we just mentioned, that Golden State can't stop anybody. And again, I think that they are one of the better teams in pace so far this season as well. One of the faster teams in pace. So I will, go with the over in this game as well.
Do you expect Miami to try to slow the pace down, or do you think they partake? Because since Golden State's been so bad defensively, I'm not sure why teams would slow down the pace. And Miami did score 119 yesterday. They played well playing faster. I think I feel like they should partake.
Yeah, I think they should too. I'm trying to pull up, see how. I don't think that. Yeah, they're number 26 as far as pace, but
that's why I was asking, because they were fast last night.
I think that Golden State will probably dictate the pace, especially since they are at home, and I think that Miami will partake in that. But do you think that the half-court offense is better for the Golden State Warriors if Miami slows it down?
I just don't know why you'd want to deal with a team that is so used to running sets. We know how good Golden State can be in the half court. The point is Golden State's transition defense has been terrible. So I don't know why you wouldn't try to exploit that. And you're looking at what Golden State is really throwing out there. We know Clay is not the defender he used to be. Neither's Draymond. Looney's okay, but he barely plays. I mean, you see him and Wiseman alternate. Wiseman's still young. He's not a great defensive player by any means.
Yeah.
Poole is really not a good defensive player either. So besides Wiggins, who exactly can you rely on a possession-given basis defensively, besides maybe a little bit of Draymond, who complains about every foul call? Like, they don't have many great ball stoppers right now, and that might be one of the things they're going to have to do at the trade deadline, because they could really use a good perimeter defender, because Clay's not that guy anymore.
Yeah, and they also lost Gary Payton in the offseason as well.
And that was a big loss. Well. Payton was huge for that team last year.
Yeah, especially defensively, right? So, so I think we're both on the over here. You're on the Miami team total over in this game.
I can't pass on anything below 110.
Sure.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. All right, let's get over to the last game of the night. Should be a good one here. It's going to be the Memphis Grizzlies in Sacramento to take on the Kings. Another 10 o'clock Eastern start. Looking at the lines for this game here, I saw that the Memphis Grizzlies opened up as a 4.5-point road favorite here. That number has been bet down to -3 over on WinBet. Total opened up at 237. Not a lot of movement there. It's just down 0.5 point at 236.5. Money line -155 for the Memphis Grizzlies and +130 home underdogs for the Sacramento Kings. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, let's start with the road team, the Memphis Grizzlies. Danny Green, we know, is out, and Triple J is out as well. Those guys are recovering from surgery. John Conchar is actually questionable for this game with the left shoulder soreness. And Zaire Williams, I think we got the news yesterday, he's going to be out another 4 to 6 weeks for the Memphis Grizzlies. Sacramento, I do not see an injury report submitted yet for them. Let me see if I can pull one up on another site here. Give me 1 second.
We know that Murray missed the first game because of protocol. He's played since. He's been fine.
Yeah. Let's see.
Can you count Harrison Barnes because nobody's seen him in the last 3 games because he hasn't done anything? Does that count as an injury report?
Maybe put him on the milk carton there. But yeah, pretty clean injury report for the Sacramento Kings. Yeah. Why don't you start us off here, Scott, with the side here, -3.5 road favorites for the Memphis Grizzlies.
So I'm kind of tempted to take Sacramento because this line makes no sense. Mm-hmm. We just saw Memphis score 130 and change against the Nets. Bane and Morant both scored 37 plus points. Morant's been right now the MVP favorite, or close to it. You could argue Giannis because Giannis is incredible, but still.
Yeah.
Sacramento has been competitive. Fox has been good. The problem is Mike Brown's not a good coach. And as a result, they lose a lot of close games in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
All the time. They just fall apart down the stretch. So you mentioned how Memphis is the worst defensive team in the league, statistically speaking, based on rating. Mm-hmm. Sacramento's not good defensively either. So I do expect points, which is why the total's roughly 240 in the first week of the season. So I'm not surprised by this overall number. I'm not going to touch the total. I'd rather take player props. I think I am going to take Sacramento first half in
Okay.
this game because the line does seem extremely short to fade Ja. And I think as a result, it seems a bit trappy to me, but I
Mhm.
really don't trust the Kings in the fourth quarter of games. Give me the Kings to get off to a fast start offensively at home. Memphis hasn't really played many road games this season. They haven't looked great on the road. Dallas beat them by 40. I know they
Yeah.
were on a back-to-back, so I don't know if
Mhm.
you can really factor that in. But I actually think the Kings have a shot here based on how trappy this line looks. Give me Kings first half. I'll avoid the Mike Brown fourth quarter collapse. Give me the Kings first half.
Yeah, I like that play. First half for the Sacramento Kings. I think that what they are one of two teams that are winless so far this season, or is there more? Let me check
Well,
this
you
thing.
have
I know
them, you have the Lakers,
Indiana.
and Indiana. Indiana beat Detroit, didn't they?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they did. So it's Sacramento and Lakers in the West, and then in the East, it's only the Orlando Magic. So I mean, look, the motivation's always going to be there to try to get that first win, and I think there's a good opportunity for them to do that on their home floor here as well.
They should already
Um,
have a win. They've blown a couple of
yeah,
close games.
yeah. So I think that that's something they do need to work on. I like your call about the just taking the second half out of it and just playing the first half for the Sacramento Kings. Um, I'll go with the Sacramento Kings on the spread here. I think that they can. This game will probably come down to the wire. I think the line is indicating that be a one possession game coming down, and I think in that case you're probably trusting Memphis Grizzlies and John Morant more. So I like your call about that first half, but full game. I'll go with the +3 here on the Sacramento Kings. Total, I know you said you don't want to touch it because it is so high, but what player props that we are looking at in this game here, Scott? What do you got?
I mean, Jaws points are 30.5. I
I
don't I
mean,
don't give a damn. I mean, I don't really care.
you
I
got to take
feel
that
like
up to 40, right?
you're looking at 40. You're looking at a massive game. I think he could play well. Bane 3-pointers has been solid so far.
Yeah.
I am curious about Steven Adams' role in this game because Sabonis can shoot a little bit, but not that well. I mean, he's
Mhm.
okay, but the point is, I think we can agree Adams should not be played off the floor. But then again, the pace is going to be so high, he might be played off the floor. So I'm not exactly sure what his role is going to be in this game. You have any thoughts on that? Because on one hand, you could use Adams in the half court to guard the likes of Sabonis. On the other hand, both teams want to run. Do we expect Adams to get played off the court in this game? Because he might.
I think so, especially because Sacramento is number 4 in pace so far this season. Golden
It
State,
better be.
like,
You got
yeah,
De'Aaron Fox as your point guard. You better be running the floor.
yeah. Warriors, Lakers, Spurs, and then the Kings are number 4. So I think that we'll see a lot of up and down in this game, which again, that will compromise what Steven Adams can do for this Memphis Grizzlies team, especially defensively, right? And I think Sabonis, like you mentioned, is a guy that can knock down the 3-point shot, even the mid-range shot as well. So they might have to go in another direction, and maybe that his numbers or his minutes will be limited because of the matchup here against the Sacramento Kings, like we mentioned, who do like to get out and run.
We saw it against
Um,
Minnesota in the playoffs. They barely used them once they
yeah,
realized that the pace wasn't going to work out.
yeah. And yeah, like we mentioned, these are two teams that are not very good defensively. Sacramento, number 21 defensive rating. And like I mentioned earlier, Memphis Grizzlies are dead last as far as a defensive rating. One thing that did stick out to me as well, Scott, 3-point shooting percentage, Sacramento, number 28. I know there's not a lot of 3-point shooters, except for Desmond Bain. I do like his over 3.5 3-point shots made here tonight.
Wait,
Especially
you're talking
again,
about defense for 3-pointers or offense for 3-pointers?
defensively for
Okay,
Sacramento
cool.
Kings.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
I
sorry.
thought you meant offense. That's why I got confused. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So Sacramento is number 28 out of 30 teams in opponent 3-point percentage allowed at 41%. What I meant to say is that's for that reason I do like Desmond Bain over 3.5
Yeah.
3-point shots here tonight. And again, you might want to take a look at his points prop as well because again we're expecting a lot of possessions, a lot of pace, so shots will be aplenty in this game as well. Any other player props that may stick out to you, Scott?
Yeah, I was kind of half joking when I started out. I was teasing Harrison Barnes because he's been awful so far this season.
Mhm.
His point total's at 11.5.
Yeah.
And I understand that Barnes has not shot the ball well, and they've kind of focused more on Fox and Sabonis and Herder. I get it. But the total once again is like 237. He played at least 31 minutes in 2 of the first 3 games. He didn't play that much against Golden State. Golden State scored like 80 something, 89 points in the first half. I just feel
Yeah.
like the game flow wasn't working out. Do you think there's value on Barnes at 11.5? Because for a guy who should play 30 plus minutes in a game that has a total of 237, aren't you just blindly playing overs on guys who should be on the court for at least like 2/3, if not 3/4 of the game?
Yeah, so I mean, you just mentioned the Warriors game there. He played 21 minutes. He only got one field goal attempt up in
I'm
that
not really
game.
sure what happened in that game, to be honest with you, but
Yeah,
I just saw the minutes. But the first two games, he played 30 plus minutes.
yeah,
So I,
and he
I don't
got up
know.
what 8 and 10 shots in those games.
I
He's
like
just a
Aldama over 11.5 points.
Yeah, he's been a big part of their offense so far this season. I don't know. I think I might be a waiting approach for Harrison Barnes for at least. I know I
I
was
like
on.
Aldama, though. I think he should have a
Yeah,
pretty good game.
I was on his rebounding prop the other night. I think that I lost by the hook on that one as well. I think it was at 6.5, and I took 6. That was against the game in Dallas where they got blown out. But
Yeah.
I
He had
think
6
that
and 21 minutes. So
yeah, so I think that if it's more similar to the games that we saw against the Knicks and then against the Rockets, where he did play 30 plus minutes in those games, and it wasn't a blowout, that he should be able to get over his rebounding prop and possibly his points prop as well. Do you see a double double for him?
let me see what I could find. But I do think Aldama, his number for points seems a little bit too low. I like the over there. But Aldama double double, I see 6-1.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah,
Uh, let me actually see Keegan Murray for a second, because I'm not saying he's going to get a double double. I know rebounding wise, he's been pretty meh because Sabonis takes a lot of rebounds.
hmm
Yeah, he hasn't had more than 5 in a game this season. I'm
yeah,
only asking because I see his double double at 12-1, and I'm kind of
yeah.
just curious. But
I would probably maybe look at his points prop. I mean, if you just
yeah,
want to play a player prop on him, he's listed at 16 and
I
a
I
half.
saw 12-1. I immediately just got intrigued, so that's why I kind of
Yeah,
had to at least look at it. But I don't know
yeah.
if he's going to get there.
Now that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything else for this game before we get into our lock and dog?
No, not really. I just expect a lot of points.
All right. Before we get into our lock and dog, since we've been talking a lot about player props, well, No House Advantage is a great place for you to get down and play on these player props. No House Advantage is changing the game by offering the most dynamic fantasy sports platform available today. Play in pick'em contests versus other people for a shot at winning 250,000 plus in cash. Download the app, choose a contest, select your player props, earn points for correct picks, and climb the leaderboard for your shot to win big money every single day. You can also test your skills versus a house and 20 times your entry if you hit all of your picks. Bet on up to 5 player prop over-unders or individual player matchups across every major sports league, including the NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, MMA, and NASCAR. Sign up now with promo code SGPN at nohouseadvantage.com or download the app on the App Store to get a first deposit match up to $25. Make sure to check out No House Advantage today and experience daily fantasy sports redefined, because it's not how you play, but also where you play. You won't want to miss out on this. All right, Scott, we only have 4 games on the schedule here tonight, but we will give out our picks like we always do. Lock and dog for tonight. I'll let you lead this one off, man. What do you got for your lock and dog?
So I was contemplating the Mavericks, but I think I'm just going to stick with the don't fix what isn't broken philosophy. I'm just going to take opponent team total overs against Golden State right now. I'm going to
Okay.
take the Heat team total over 109.5. I really don't know how a team that just hands out 30 points per quarter at will has a team total for the opponent of 109.5. We just saw Miami score 119 last night. The starters didn't have to play that much because they were dominating. So you expect Miami to be pretty all hands on deck in this spot. It seems like a good spot for Miami to not rest anybody. And
Yeah.
I do think that you'll end up seeing Golden State's defense struggle again. Miami has size on the interior. We know Butler's not afraid of taking these games personally against high profile teams. I think he could play well. Hero's still very good. Hero might take it personally against Jordan Poole because
Mhm.
we know that they're not afraid to talk trash and they're both very solid. And Adebayo should have a big game here. I like Miami team total over 109.5. Until Golden State's defense shows me a pulse, I'm going to keep fading it. So just give me the over for Miami team total.
Love it. What do you got for your dog for tonight?
Thought about a prop. Aldama double double is kind of fun, but I'm not going to do that. I probably will bet that personally, but I will end up taking the Thunder on the money line. I can't really avoid it. They just smacked this team despite shooting terribly from 3. The Clippers are viewed by the public as being this world beater. The problem is nobody ever plays for this team that you want if they want to actually be a serious title contender. Kawhi's already out. Paul George has an illness. The Clippers might be extremely cautious because they always are. so I'm not sure he's going to play. We just saw this matchup, and Oklahoma City smacked them. If Paul George plays, you could have some problems. If you take the Thunder, I don't know what the odds of him playing even are. Is it 50-50? Like, I don't know what the chances of him playing are, but I'll take my chances. I like the idea of getting Oklahoma City at around, 2-1, give or take?
Plus 205.
Saying you're getting plus 200, give or take, against a team that might be missing its best 2 players and a team that you just beat them by double digits. Give me the Thunder money line, because as long as Shea's going to play, and if Shea plays and Kawhi and Paul George do not, you're getting 6 or you're getting plus 200 with the best player on the court by a wide margin. That's good enough for me. Give me OKC at home.
Yeah, Shea is playing tonight. I didn't see him on the injury report. I think the only person
Giddy's out, but he also missed the last game too.
Yeah. So, yeah, I love it. Thunder on the money line here, plus 205 over on WinBet as Scott's dog of the day. All right, for my lock, I'm going to go with the over in the Heat and the Warriors game. Talk about how volumes, how bad this defense is for the Golden State Warriors. It makes me, feel confident that you're on the Heat team total over here as well. So I think that they come out and respond here to the Warriors after being thrashed by the Suns. And again, defensively, we talked about how bad the Warriors are. Pace should be up in this game as well. Like I mentioned, Golden State, one of the fastest paced team in the league. I think that Miami Heat, to exploit how bad this defense is for the Golden State Warriors, should probably play with some pace as well. So I think this number is a little short here. So I'll go over 227 in this game. I'm surprised you didn't take this double-double here tonight. I just want to double-check here.
Bam? Who are you going with?
I was going to go Christian Wood here tonight for a double-double.
It's really the minutes that are
and that's what's making me nervous as well.
Kid just won't give him the damn playing time he deserves. I don't know what more you want from the guy.
Yeah, but I think the other one, what you just mentioned there, is going to be Bam here tonight, plus 145 for a double-double here tonight.
It's a bargain. That's a hell of a price.
Yeah, so I'll take Bam as my dog of the night. Bam Adebayo, double-double tonight against the Golden State Warriors. Shouldn't be a problem scoring the basketball, and I don't think it'll be an issue rebounding the basketball either for him. So I think a big game tonight for Bam, and maybe one of the starters does get announced out. Maybe he does have to play more minutes. Again, we talked about the pace that should be high in this game. More opportunities for shots, more opportunity for rebounds. So I think Bam should be able to take advantage of that here tonight. So Bam double-double, plus 145 as my dog. And then I'm going to say in the same game, Heat and Warriors over 227. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast, episode number 400 for us. Really excited about what's happening with the NBA Gambling Podcast. I think we'll probably hit 500 this season as well. But should be exciting times here around NBA Gambling Podcast. If you haven't already, please leave us a rating and review for the NBA Gambling Podcast. And again, we're giving away that SGPN $100 gift card. All you got to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel of the NBA Gambling Podcast. Leave us a comment on one of the videos that we've done on YouTube for these live broadcasts. And again, make sure you have those notifications on as well as part of getting that SGPN gift card. So when we announce the winner as well. But we will officially announce the winner on the Monday episode of the NBA Gambling Podcast. So again, you have through the weekend to do it. So make sure to get down on that and get that $100 SGPN gift card. Scott, anything else, my man, before we get out of here?
No, nothing really more to add. Should be fun going through just today's card. Hopefully we'll make some money. I know as for the 400th episode, I believe I showed up around halfway through that. So I missed the first half, but definitely been a lot of fun for the last roughly 200 episodes, just being involved either in the editing or in the actual co-hosting gig or all the above. Either way, it's been a lot of fun, been a nice ride so far. We're just getting started, so let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, shout out to McKee and ZB, the guys that started what was formerly known as the NBA Odds Pod, and that changed over.
I do like that name a lot, though. That's a hell of
I do. Yeah, it's a great name. But now officially the NBA Gambling Podcast as part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. All right, we will be back tomorrow for the Friday game, so definitely look out for that. Big schedule tomorrow in the NBA. So we'll be here to break it down as we usually do. Make sure to follow Scott on Twitter at Reichel Radio. Check him out on the Tennis Gambling Podcast, as well as the NFL Gambling Podcast. Him and I will be doing the afternoon games sometime either today or tomorrow. So definitely look out for that on the NFL Gambling Podcast. Till then, good luck with your picks. Let's break these books off and let it ride.